Gained unmatched football strength, surpassing Messi and Ronaldo. Episode 61. Seeing the football flying over, Lin Rui stopped taking care of Amaya and began to prepare for the top. He judged where the ball landed and then adjusted the position. As for the defensive players who stood in his way, he didn't care at all, who blocked it and squeezed it directly. Including Amaya, who had just spoken ruthlessly, he was also pushed aside by Lin Rui's arrogance and unreasonableness. Moving to the right position, facing the flying football, Lin Rui jumped directly to the top. Not surprisingly, he topped the football. However, the moment he reached the top of the football, he suddenly felt a strong force coming from his waist. Since his body was still in the air at this time, there was no place to borrow power, so this force that he usually didn't care about at all made his body suddenly lose his balance and fall to the ground all of a sudden. And the football he pushed out, of course, there was no way to aim, flying high out of the bottom line. This fall from the air, for Lin Rui, in fact, the physical damage was not great, but the fall hurt slightly. But he quickly stood up. Just now, of course, he knew who did it, but he didn't attack right away, but looked at the referee on the side. However, it was found that the referee did not seem to have anything to come up and make a decision. "Mr. Referee, I was pushed down from behind just now, shouldn't there be an explanation?" Lin Rui finally couldn't help it, he shouted at the referee, and when he was pushed down, he also pointed to Amaya next to him. Amaya, on the other hand, looked innocent at this time, shrugged his shoulders, spread his hands, and said that he didn't do anything at all. What annoyed Lin Rui the most was that the referee of this game was still indifferent. He shook his head at Lin Rui and said, "I didn't see that someone pushed you just now, so there is no way to make a penalty. Please hurry up and get to the game." Hearing the referee's words, Lin Rui was not doing anything, but the other players of Atletico Madrid were not working. Captain Gabby was the first to run to the referee's side and said excitedly, "The number 4 of the opponent just now is obviously a pusher, I can see clearly, he should be sent off with a red card, and we should get a penalty. I repeat, I didn't see anyone who fouled, so no penalty could be made. And I want to warn you, how to judge the punishment is up to me, not you. If you continue to be so entangled, then I will punish you. Do you understand? Mister, the referee has obviously made the final decision and it is impossible to change it at this time. But this is clearly unacceptable to the players of Atletico Madrid." They immediately stepped forward and surrounded the referee to ask for explanations. The surrounding Atletico fans also began to roar and booed the referee. In the face of the agitated Atletico Madrid players, the referee did not choose to compromise, but directly took out a yellow card and showed it to the leading Gabby. Fortunately, Lin Rui did not step forward and was pulled behind by his teammates, otherwise he might not have escaped the fate of a yellow card. Seeing that the referee really pulled out the cards, the players of Atletico Madrid could only accept the reality helplessly. However, at this time, the large screen playback of the scene faithfully recorded everything that happened just now. "I saw that just now." At the same time that Lin Rui was jumping and competing for the top, Amaya, who was squeezed away by Lin Rui with his body, pushed Lin Rui's waist at an angle that was very hidden and the head coach could not see at all. This blow caused Lin Rui's body to lose his balance and fall from the air. However, to everyone's surprise, Lin Rui still relied on his strong physical strength to complete the header before falling. Although the final goal is high, it is not possible for anyone to complete it. When ordinary people suddenly suffer such an attack, they have long been panicked, where can they still think of shooting? But Lin Rui can still think of attacking his opponent when his body is out of balance. Seeing this scene, the players of Atletico Madrid, who had just calmed down, immediately stopped doing it again. Gabby pointed to the replay on the screen and yelled at the referee, "See? Who the hell is fouling?" In the face of questioning, although the referee was annoyed in his heart, he did not change his previous decision, but only urged Gabby to play. Seeing this attitude of the referee, the Atletico fans in the stands immediately stopped working. They started shrill boos, and some fans even started throwing debris in their hands. For a while, water bottles, waste paper balls, and even shoes that I don't know who it was, were thrown towards the court. The riot at the scene lasted for several minutes before it resumed. However, in the end, the referee did not award additional penalties. This made Atletico Madrid's players very angry, but there was nothing they could do. Simeone, who was also angry on the sidelines, couldn't help but run to the 4th official and complained. However, the 4th official informed the referee, who immediately ran over and gave Simeone a yellow card. This made Simeone almost run away. In the end, the game resumed, and the movements of the angry Atletico Madrid players began to get bigger. For a while, the pitch was turned on their backs, the referee's whistle began to sound frequently, and the whole game was shattered. In the 78th minute of the game, Perez dribbled the ball on the right wing, and was directly tackled by Godin, who came up to defend, and the practice ball led the tackle out of the touchline. However, Godin's tackle was the first to touch, so he was not shown a yellow card. This made Real Betis players very dissatisfied. In the 81st minute of the game, Lin Rui's opportunity to take revenge finally came. This time Real Betis got a corner kick and their team headed into the box ready to grab a header. Amaya, as the team's number one header, is certainly among them. And Lin Rui followed him not far away. Salva kicked the football and flew high into the Atletico Madrid penalty area. Both players in the box jump at the same time. And at this moment, a screen came, which immediately attracted everyone's attention. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Courtois easily took off the flying football. At this time everyone saw that Amaya, who had just jumped to the top, fell to the ground, holding his head in pain and crying. Everyone didn't know what was happening, and there was doubt in their eyes. The referee quickly ran up and bent down to check on Amaya's situation. I saw Amaya holding his head and seeing the referee coming. He quickly pointed to Lin Rui, who was dazed next to him, and said, "He hit me." Hearing Amaya's words, everyone looked at Lin Rui in amazement. However, Lin Rui said with an innocent look at this time, "Don't talk nonsense, I didn't mean it." Episode 62. Hearing Lin Rui's words, Amaya was suddenly anxious. He struggled to stand up, but he was still pulled by his teammates. At this time, on the big screen of the scene, the slow-motion playback just now finally let everyone figure out the cause of the matter. Just now, when the corner kick was taken, Lin Rui stood in front of Amaya's side. When the football flew over, the two jumped at the same time, to prepare for the top. But at this time, Lin Rui's arm that kept his balance due to jumping up happened to hit Amaya's face. As can be seen from the TV picture, Amaya was hit very strongly, was directly cut from the air, and fell on the turf all of a sudden. Seeing this scene, everyone fell silent. Can it be considered that Lin Rui deliberately hurt people? In the live broadcast room, Lu Jian asked Zhang Lu next to him with some uncertainty. It's not easy to say. From the slow motion, Lin Rui is completely unconsciously raising his arms to maintain his body balance. As for the face of the opponent, it should be a coincidence, right? However, considering that the opponent number 4 he picked up has just clashed with him, this will affect the referee's decision. So how to judge specifically, we still have to continue to observe. Zhang Lu was also a little difficult to judge. Now all eyes are on the referee of this match, Sankoa. Sankoa glanced at the big screen, and then at Lin Rui and Amaya lying on the ground. He hesitated and finally didn't pull the cards out of his pocket. Instead, he walked up to Lin Rui and gave him a verbal warning. Of course, Lin Rui made a good baby posture and gave the right side. Seeing Lin Rui's attitude so cooperative, Sankoa waved his hand and signaled the game to restart. But his handling made Real Betis players very unhappy, and they began to surround Sankoa for explanations. But Sankoa's stubborn referee will certainly not be threatened by them. In the end, a yellow card was given to the guy who made the most trouble, which directly calmed the scene. This allowed the game to start again. And after such a commotion, there is not much time left for the game. If the match were to end with this scoreline, Atletico Madrid, as the home team, would definitely not be willing to do so. Real Betis, as a team that is not as strong as Atletico Madrid and plays away, can accept a draw. So in the last few minutes, the players of Atletico Madrid began to get anxious. Began to launch a fierce attack on Real Betis' goal. Real Betis, on the other hand, began to retreat and hold on, vowing to drag out the last few minutes. In the 86th minute, Gabi sent a ball straight in the middle. Falcao got the football under the close watch of the Betis defender. After turning with a pull, he fired a long-range shot directly at the edge of the box. Unfortunately, due to the large number of people in the box, the football he shot hit the leg of the defender and popped off the baseline. Atletico Madrid get a corner kick. Real Betis players immediately became nervous. Because Lin Rui's header today is really perverted. They have been abused and feared. Turan took a corner kick, and sure enough, it was Lin Rui's point again. Lin Rui opened Amaya's hands, which were almost hanging on him, and immediately jumped to meet the ball. However, this time the corner kick line sent by Turan was slightly higher, coupled with the influence of Amaya just now, Lin Rui only rubbed the football and was not able to top. The football only changed direction slightly above Lin Rui's head, and then flew out at an oblique angle. In the end, the flying football grazed the outside of the far post of the goal and flew out of the bottom line. It was also a cold sweat that scared the Betis players. By this time, the game had reached 90 minutes, and Sankoa looked at his watch and gave 3 minutes of stoppage time. Seeing this stoppage time, the Atletico fans in the stands immediately booed with dissatisfaction. In the second half, due to the clash between the two teams, the game was suspended for a long time, but now the referee has only given 3 minutes of stoppage time, which has made Atletico fans who are bent on winning the team very unhappy. At this time, Real Betis coach Pepe on the sidelines began to make substitutions to delay time. He used up all 3 substitutions in one go. By the time the 3 players walked onto the pitch, there were less than 2 minutes left in stoppage time. At this time, it is Atletico Madrid's offensive opportunity, and it is estimated that after this attack, the game should almost be over. Mario Suarez goes to the sidelines to send an out-of-bounds ball. Gabi stepped forward to answer. However, Real Betis defenders watched Gabi very closely. In order not to be destroyed, Mario Suarez tried a few times before throwing the ball away after the opposing defender was flashed by Gabi. Gabi stopped the ball at his feet, carried the opposing defender who came up behind him to make crazy tackles, and immediately returned the ball to Mario Suarez, who came up to receive him. After Mario Suarez received the ball, he did not dare to stick the ball too much, because there was already Betis' defender who pounced aggressively, and if he stuck the ball, he would be tackled. Mario Suarez made a slight adjustment and crossed the ball into the middle. There, Falcao had pulled out of the box to catch the ball. Falcao received the ball more than 10 meters outside the box. But immediately, 2 Betis defenders rushed over, one left and one right, to pinch him. However, Falcao was in danger, and with his right foot he picked the ball laterally and quickly moved to the left side of the box, driving the 2 defenders to follow this side. After several changes of direction, Falcao always firmly controlled the football at his feet. This also shows that the technique under his feet is good. However, the 2 defenders did not give him a chance to break through, always firmly jamming his shot and breaking through line. Falcao tried several breakthroughs, but without success, and almost lost the ball, which left him unable to continue holding the ball. Coincidentally, at this time, he swept a red and white figure moving to the right side of the penalty area. Without any hesitation, Falcao sent a diagonal pass directly to the feet of the figure. After it was passed out, he saw clearly that the figure was Lin Rui. Seeing that it was Lin Rui, Falcao felt cold in his heart. What he just sent out was a football, and Lin Rui's foot technique, not to mention. With such a dense crowd of people near the penalty area now, it is estimated that the ball will have to be lost at the feet of the opponent. It seems that there is no hope of winning today's game. Falcao has already begun to accept his fate, ready to accept the fate of the draw. But at this moment, his eyes suddenly widened, revealing an incredible look. Episode 63, Lin Rui has been waiting for his teammates in the penalty area just now. However, in the final moments of the game, the players of Atletico Madrid did not dare to hand over the ball easily. Therefore, Lin Rui has no way to wait for the pass of his teammates in the penalty area. So he started pulling outside the box. Just when he just moved to the edge of the box, at this distance, Betis defenders did not keep a close eye on Lin Rui. Because they all know that at such a distance, Lin Rui's header kung fu cannot be played. And his foot technology is a mess, so the guard against him will be relatively relaxed. It was in this context that Falcao's football came over. Facing the incoming ball, Lin Rui quickly stretched out his foot to stop the ball at his feet. Seeing that Lin Rui got the football, Betis defender immediately rushed towards him. Lin Rui suddenly became a little busy. He doesn't have the ability to beat opposing defenders one-on-one. Although he can crush his opponent with his body, it is foul. He tried to pass the ball, but swept around, but there was no good shooting point. And with his passing skills, he really doesn't know if he can get the ball accurately to the feet of his teammates. Seeing that the opposing defender was about to rush in front of him, Lin Rui closed his eyes and crossed, directly flicked the ball, dialed the ball to the most comfortable position, and then directly picked up his right foot. Lin Rui. What is he going to do? Lean. Straight shot. As the exclamations of the people around him sounded, Lin Rui's right foot was fiercely pumped in the middle and lower position of the football. Boom. A boom resounded throughout the stadium. Then everyone saw the football turn into a stream of light under Lin Rui's feet and go straight to the direction of the goal. Lin Rui's shot was full of strength. Under his furious power, the football gained powerful kinetic energy, so fast that the human eye could not catch it. The football passed through the gap in the crowd, magically did not touch anyone's body, and flew to the goal in an instant. Betis goalkeeper Casto was in high spirits. The moment Lin Rui shot with his foot, he was ready to save the ball. However, when the football shot by Lin Rui flew over, the speed of the ball still surprised him. He didn't even see the flight trajectory of the football, and the football was already in front of him. Faced with the incoming ball, Casto, who had no time to think about it, could only instinctively stretch out his right hand to prevent the football from entering the goal. Fortunately, the football that Lin Rui shot in a hurry was at a relatively correct angle. Castor instinctively saved and pounced on football. Feeling the football blocked, Casto was overjoyed. As long as the ball is saved, the game is almost over. And this side can also take a point away from the Calderon Stadium smoothly. This is already a surprise for a mid-table team like Real Betis. But before the joy in his heart could spread, he was suddenly interrupted by a sharp pain from his hand. When the ball hit his right hand, Casto only felt as if his hand had been hit by a cannonball fired at high speed. A sharp pain came, then a burst of numbness, and the entire right arm lost its intuition. And the most terrifying thing is that the football hit his right hand. The direction did not change much, but after a slight change of direction, it smashed into the lower edge of the beam of the goal, and then refracted into the net. GGGGGGGGOALLLLLLLL. The crazy roar of the live DJ spread throughout the Calderon Stadium, prompting Atletico fans throughout the stadium to stand and cheer. In the last moment of the game, Lin Rui scored the killer goal. This made all Atletico fans unsettled. How nervous and desperate they were just now, how crazy they were now. Klaus and Royce next to her were already hugging each other at this time. Two opponents who couldn't look at each other just now, but now they hugged together excitedly for the same thing, which has to make people sigh that the world is impermanent, and the large intestine covers the small intestine. See? This is Lin. He scored 3 goals today. What do I say? He's the best. He will definitely become Atletico Madrid's brightest star. Klaus was already a little incoherent with excitement. However, Royce next to her was even more unbearable at this time, and he roared excitedly, "It's incredible. That Huagua kid actually did it. The final goal was unbelievable. From now on, I will be his iron fan." At this time, countless Atletico fans in the stands were cheering for a Chinese national. After this game, the name Lin Rui will definitely become their conversation after tea. Lin Rui takes the ball. Shot. Yes. The ball went in. In. Hat-trick. Lin Rui scored a hat-trick. Now the score is 3-2, and Atletico Madrid will take the score back. In the final moments of the game, Lin Rui helped the team to kill the opponent. It's incredible. In the live broadcast room, after seeing Lin Rui score the ball, Lu Jian jumped up from the chair excitedly, clenched his fists, and roared loudly. That's awesome. The ball was so powerful that Betis goalkeeper pounced on the ball, but was unable to block the goal. Lin Rui put on a wonderful performance for us. Let us congratulate Lin Rui. Jean-Lu was also excited. Lin Rui. It's Lin Rui again. That's great. Lin Rui is the best. Shu, fan next to him, jumped up and down with excitement at this time, showing the cuteness of the little girl. Hey. What's going on? What happened to the opposing goalkeeper? At this time, Jean-Lu suddenly discovered the abnormality on the field. I saw that the goalkeeper of Real Betis was rolling on the ground in pain, holding his arm at this time. It can't be an injury, right? Lu Jian also discovered this anomaly. At this time, on the court, Lin Rui, who had just scored a decisive goal, was celebrating the goal, but suddenly saw Real Betis goalkeeper Casto fall to the ground in pain, did not get up, and his mouth was still crying out in pain. Soon, everyone noticed the abnormality. The referee immediately ran up to check on the situation. Real Betis players also gathered around. Soon, Royal Betis team doctor ran over with the medicine box. After a preliminary examination, everyone learned that Casto's right wrist bone was fractured. Hearing this news, the audience was in an uproar. Everyone looked at Lin Rui, who was standing in the middle of the scene with an innocent face. This guy is too perverted. A shot broke the wrist bone of the opposing goalkeeper. Episode 64. There was a little accident on the pitch just now. It seems that the Real Betis goalkeeper suffered a little injury in his hand when he saved Lin Rui's shot just now. This situation is still relatively rare, and it can be said that I have never seen it before. After all, these professional goalkeepers, they practice how to save the ball every day, and they also wear professional protective gloves on their hands, which has comprehensive protection. It's a bit strange to be able to break their hand bones. I can only say that Lin Rui is a real cow. In the live broadcast room, Lu Jian's voice could not hear joy and anger, but his words were full of admiration for Lin Rui. Being able to break the goalkeeper's hand bones shows that Lin Rui's shot strength has reached a terrifying level just now. This is also the first time I have seen this situation. Today was an eye-opener. Let's look at the replay of this ball. Let's look at the ball speed measured by the live video speed measurement of this ball. This is 189 kilometers per hour. No way. Seeing this number, Lu Jian and Zhang Luqiqi gasped and directly burst into foul language. Seeing the expressions of the two who saw the ghost, Xu Fan on the side was a little strange. Is this speed awesome? Bull. That's awesome. It's awesome. Lu Jian blurted out a series of interjections, which immediately made Xu Fan stunned on the spot. Seeing Xu Fan's big confused eyes, Zhang Lu took the stubble and said, "Let me tell you what this ball speed means. First of all, let's look at some of the well-known stars, their fastest speed on goal. First, Cristiano Ronaldo, his fastest shot speed, now there is a record of 103 kilometers per hour. Let's look at Messi again, his top speed record is 98 kilometers per hour. In addition, De Roo, the highest record 122 kilometers per hour, Alan Hiller 137 kilometers, Adriano 140 kilometers, Grande Ibrahimovic 148 kilometers, Robert Carlos 149 kilometers, Trezeguet 153 kilometers, and this, the highest record, was set by Koeman in the early 90s, 188 kilometers per hour. Of course, all of the above are recorded, and there may be some balls, which are not recorded, so it doesn't count. So, now you know what it means for Lin Rui to kick the ball at 189 kilometers per hour, right? Zhang Luru's popular science made Xu Fan's eyes widen suddenly. You mean Lin Rui set a record? The world's fastest ball speed record? Xu Fan was a little incredulous. That's right. Although this record is not an official record, after all, there are many balls that do not go specifically to speed measurement. However, as far as the existing records are concerned, Lin Rui has indeed created a new record. Wow. So powerful. Lin Rui is too good. However, in this way, the goalkeeper of Real Betis is a bit miserable. Xu Fan said with a sympathetic look, but his eyes flashed with excitement. Yes, it's quite miserable. Poor Casto, hopefully he doesn't have a big problem. Zhang Lu said with a shrug. On the court at this time, Casto had been carried on a stretcher. Lying on the stretcher, after the emergency treatment of the team doctor, he was no longer as painful as just now. He turned his head to look at Lin Rui, who was standing not far away, and a flash of resentment flashed in his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by fear. This Chinese man is really terrible. At this moment, poor Casto already had a shadow over Lin Rui in his heart. I don't know how he will feel when he meets Lin Rui again in the future. This sudden situation has left the players of Atletico Madrid without the desire to celebrate. At this time, the players of Real Betis all had ugly faces and were holding fire in their hearts. The players at Atletico Madrid don't want to thrill them anymore. In case of unnecessary conflict, it is not good. Real Betis coach Pepe on the sidelines has an ugly face at this time. This game was not only killed by the opponent at the last minute, but also lost a main goalkeeper on his side, which was a big loss. In his opinion, the loss of the goalkeeper is more serious than losing this game. That means he will have to use the team's backup goalkeeper for the next few months. The strength of the substitute goalkeeper is usually much worse than that of the main goalkeeper. This directly affects the strength of the entire team. It can be said that this time it is a big loss. After Casto was carried off the pitch, an ugly-looking Pepe suddenly noticed a problem. He has no substitutions. So only one player on the field can be found to temporarily play as a goalkeeper, and then the team will face a 10-on-11 disadvantage. But fortunately, there was not much time left before the end of the game, so he was not too worried. Soon, the players from both sides returned to their own halves and were ready to kick off. The referee blew his whistle and the game resumed. At this point, the time for the game was already up, but the referee gave Real Betis another minute to attack. Finally, after Perez hit the anti-aircraft gun with a shot from the goal, the referee blew the final whistle. Well, the referee blew the whistle for the end of the match, and in the end, Atletico Madrid won 3-2 at home against Real Betis. Real Betis played well at the start, leading Atletico Madrid by 2 goals at one point. However, after China's youngster Lin Rui was replaced, Atletico Madrid gradually changed the passive situation, and Lin Rui scored a hat-trick, and finally directly overtook the score. It is worth mentioning that in the final stage of the race, Lin Rui scored a super heavy gun with a speed of 189 km per hour. It was with this goal that Atletico Madrid were able to beat their opponents in the last moments. The goalkeeper of Real Betis also injured his right hand while saving this shot. In this game, China's young player Lin Rui, who made his first appearance in La Liga, handed over a beautiful answer, which also brought us infinite surprises. Now I'm already looking forward to his next game. Here's a preview that Atletico Madrid will be visiting Rayo Vallecano next week, so let's continue to enjoy Lin Rui's performance. Okay, that's it for today's live broadcast, we'll see you next week. Lu Jian finished the post-match summary and ended the live broadcast. At this time on the field, when the whistle sounded, the fans erupted into a sea of cheers. After a symbolic handshake with Pepe Meyer, Simeone ran onto the pitch to celebrate the victory with his disciples. Episode 65. The game was over, and Lin Rui won the best player of the game without suspense. As the best in the audience, Lin Rui received a bottle of champagne as a reward. This bottle of champagne is much more premium than the champagne he won the best prize of the game in the second division, worth a few €100. In addition, he scored a hat-trick in this match, and the match ball for this match was also in his collection. After the game, Lin Rui also became the object of major media interviews. In the media interview area, Lin Rui was interviewed by reporters. Reporter: Lin, first of all, congratulations to your team for winning the game, are you satisfied with today's result? Lin Rui: it's quite satisfactory, although there were many twists and turns in the game, but in the end we still won the game. As long as we win, there are no other problems. Reporter: so are you satisfied with your performance today? If so, how many points do you rate yourself? Lin Rui: I give myself 85 points, after all, I scored 3 goals today, although there is an element of luck, but it is undeniable that my performance is still okay. Of course, I still have some technical shortcomings, which I am aware of, so I can't give myself a higher score. Reporter: I think you are very modest. Speaking of luck, I want to ask, about your last goal, do you think it is luck? Lin Rui: to be honest with that ball, when I kicked it out, I really didn't think too much, and I was able to score in the end. There was an element of luck, but it was more a reflection of strength. After all, if the football I kicked out was weak, it was impossible to score. Reporter: then speaking of the last goal, then I have to ask, do you have anything to say about breaking the opponent's goalkeeper's hand bone today? Hearing this question, Lin Rui frowned. This question is not easy to answer. If it is not good, it will affect his reputation. Lin Rui thought for a while before slowly speaking. First of all, I am very sorry for the injury of the opposing goalkeeper, which is not the result I want to see. But that's the case on the football field. There are fierce confrontations, injuries are inevitable. I want to be a professional footballer and have this realization. And I have to correct a point, the opponent's goalkeeper was injured, not by me, but by the football I played, which can only be said to be an accident. Hearing that Lin Rui did not put on the cover, the local Seville reporter secretly shouted in his heart that it was a pity. However, he did not give up, but continued to ask, then I also want to ask you, you play so much power, and this is likely to cause personal injury to other players, do you have any thoughts on this? Or precautions or something? Hearing the reporter's question, Lin Rui blinked, and then said with a serious face, for your question, I can only say that you may not know much about professional football. In this field, it is a place where strength and courage are intertwined. Everyone who walks onto the pitch is a fighter. They are not afraid of getting hurt, that's the patent of cowards. I can only guarantee now that the football I play will not intentionally hurt people, but there is no guarantee that accidents will not happen. If I really deliberately stay strong because I am afraid of hurting others, which is what you call preventive measures, that is disrespectful to my opponent. I think my opponents think the same way. As long as they are truly courageous professionals, this. Hearing Lin Rui's serious conversation, the reporter didn't know how to continue asking for a while. To say that Lin Rui's words are unreasonable, he still has some reason. If it makes sense, there seems to be something wrong. Are those professional players really as brave as Lin Rui said? For a while, the atmosphere fell into embarrassment. In the end, the reporter could only ask a few more small questions casually, and then hurriedly ended the interview. Back in the dressing room, Lin Rui was also warmly welcomed by his teammates. Except for Adrian, who was not very happy, the others completely accepted Lin Rui. Captain Gabby came over and put his arm around Lin Rui and said, Lin, today you saved the team, so we decided to go and celebrate it later, you must come. Oh, is there a girl there? Lin Rui asked with a smile. Yes, of course, and how much there is. Gabby laughed and said. Lin, what do you want? Small and delicate? Or is it plump and fleshy? Black or white? I'll find it for you. Cork on the side said playfully. His words immediately made everyone laugh. Yes. Lin, tell me about it, what do you like? When the time comes, let Cork and the captain come and have a treat. The crowd was in a row. Hearing everyone's booing, Lin Rui didn't have any embarrassment, and said with a smile, children only make choices, of course, adults want them all, huh? Everyone was stunned when they heard this, and then after reacting, they were all amused one by one. The atmosphere in the entire dressing room was suddenly extremely warm. No one expected that Lin Rui would be so interesting. This completely subverts their ingrained impression of Chinese people. In their minds, Chinese people are low-key and introverted, and have no fun. And Lin Rui gave them a feeling that they didn't have this feeling at all. Who doesn't like a person who has a flamboyant personality, is funny to talk about, but is very friendly to his friends? At this time, Simeone, who had finished his post-match press conference, also returned to the dressing room. Seeing that the atmosphere in the dressing room seemed to be very cheerful, his mood also became better. Today's game was full of twists and turns, and the pressure he needs to endure as the head coach of the team is actually very large. Although the game was won, the tension did not disappear all at once. Now there is a relaxed atmosphere, which is also what he is happy to see. As soon as he was in a good mood, he became extraordinarily generous. Tomorrow the team has a day off, today you can go play. Whoosh! Bonsai! Hearing Simeone's words, the players immediately chanted hooray. But Simeone waited until the cheers of the crowd had ended, and immediately admonished, "It's okay to play, but I don't want you to do something out of line, otherwise let me know that there will be no good fruit for you to eat. Do you understand?" "Understood. Don't worry, coach." Of course, the players are full of promises, as for whether they can comply, then it is up to me. Because it was home game, Simeone did not ask the players to return to the training base together, but disbanded on the spot. When Simeone left, a bunch of players happily went straight to Madrid's biggest nightclub. Episode 66. At 6 o'clock in the morning, Lin Rui woke up from his sleep. I felt my body and found that my body was full of vitality again. This made him marvel. Yesterday he followed his teammates to Madrid's biggest nightclub, and he didn't know how much he drank. All he knew was that when he came out of there, it was already past 1 o'clock in the morning. Yesterday he discovered another function of his internal system. That is, to be able to keep yourself from getting drunk for 1,000 cups. Yesterday the whole team was drinking with him. He was the one who came and finally managed to let everyone go. And he himself is still awake, but he just feels a little bloated. Later, I went to the bathroom and put the water in it, so I didn't feel it. As for the girls, yesterday the teammates called a lot over. But in the end, Lin Rui drank everyone down, and these girls were useless, and they could only act as nannies to take care of these players. As for Lin Rui, although he said it happily, he was not sensitive to the women in these nightclubs. Although those women would love to have something happen with him, the rising star of Atletico Madrid. Now he can still remember the resentful eyes of those women when he left. Before leaving, he went to settle the bill, and this party cost him more than 20,000 euros. The money was also the signing fee given by the club when he signed with the first team the other day. At that time, the signing fee was 100,000 euros, and after deducting taxes, he received more than 50,000, and this time he spent nearly half. This made Lin Rui also feel a little distressed. Fortunately, he scored 3 goals yesterday and was able to get 90,000 euros according to the original contract. If you think about it, 20,000 euros is nothing. Last night's revelry, but it did not affect his energy today. This made Lin Rui have to sigh at the strength of the system. However, although it did not affect his energy, it still made him wake up 2 hours late. Therefore, this kind of activity should be participated in as little as possible in the future. After getting up and washing, I sat on the bed and brought up my system panel. As soon as the game ended yesterday, the mission reward had already arrived, but he didn't bother to check it at that time. When I came back last night, it was too late, and I went straight to sleep, and this sleep has been until now. Now that I've slept enough, I finally have time to see what I've gained this time. I saw a bright red envelope lying quietly on the system panel that was brought up. Click open, the red envelope opens, and then a message appears on the screen. Congratulations to the host. Acquire skills, Robin Nietzsche, congratulations to the host. Earn 10 attribute points, which can be used to add points to skills under 80 points, congratulations to the host. Earn 5 points. Can be used to redeem temporary skills in the points mall. Seeing this string of rewards, Lin Rui's heart blossomed. The first is Robin Nietzsche, a skill that arguably is exactly what he desperately needs right now. His own dribbling ability is still relatively poor, although with the powerful shooting method of Barty Heavy Cannon, how to bring the ball to a comfortable starting position before you fire the cannon is a problem. After all, the opponent can't give you too many suitable shots. Shooting opportunities need to be created by themselves. That's when Robin's inner cut kung fu comes in handy. You know, this skill is Robin's stunt to walk the rivers and lakes and kill all sides. With this skill, he can often surprise defenders, find empty shots, shoot directly, and score goals. This technique is simply a launcher tailored for heavy gunners. I believe that with this skill, his goals will be easier. As for the latter two rewards, 10 attribute points, he didn't think about it, he directly added it to ball control, plus the 9 skill points obtained from last week's training, all of which were added to ball control, and his current ball control ability reached 69 points. At the same time, his overall rating reached 76. Although this point is still a little inadequate, it has improved a lot compared to before. And the reason why all attribute points are added to the ball control, Lin Rui's main consideration is that Robin inner cut obtained this time requires a certain degree of ball control. If you don't have a good grip on the ball, you're likely to concede the ball before cutting inside. After all, the ball is 3 or 4 meters away, and there is no way to implement the inside of the ball. Now this point, coupled with this week's hard training, it is estimated that by the next game, his possession will be able to reach almost 80 points. At that time, combined with your own internal cutting efforts, the picture is simply not too beautiful. After adding attribute points, Lin Rui looked at the last item again, and this time, he was awarded 5 points. This also surprised him. The system's points rules stipulate that 3 points can be exchanged for a temporary skill for 10 seconds, and now he has gained 5 points, plus yesterday he won the best of the game, and the system rewards 1 point. That is, now he has 6 points in his hand and can redeem 2 temporary skills. If done well, this can definitely change the situation of a game. It can be said that the reward this time is also very rich. Collecting the points into the system, Lin Rui closed the system panel. Then I went straight out to train. The team has a holiday today, but he doesn't plan to give himself a holiday. However, this morning, because I got up late, I only trained for more than an hour and went to the restaurant for breakfast. As soon as he entered the restaurant, he immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the restaurant. Now Lin Rui is a hit in the whole of Atletico Madrid. Most of these people know the result of yesterday's game. We all know that Lin Rui, a newcomer, turned the tide in yesterday's game, directly staged a hat-trick, and became the biggest contributor to the team's victory. With such a performance, it is impossible for Lin Rui to be famous. Claus saw Lin Rui first, she ran up in surprise, pulled Lin Rui's arm with a smile on her face and said, "Lin, your performance yesterday was amazing. I was almost hoarse in the stands yesterday." Lin Rui looked at this aunt who had taken great care of herself since she entered the team, and she was also very grateful. "Aunt Croya, as I said, I will definitely be able to do well in the first team. Thank you very much for your support of me." Lin Rui was very good at talking, which made Claus also very happy. She was still worried that after Lin Rui achieved results, he would become high and noble like some young people who became famous at a young age, and would no longer care about her. Now it seems that Lin Rui is not that kind of person. The two exchanged a few more pleasantries, and Lin Rui also began to enjoy breakfast. What he didn't know was that while he was enjoying breakfast, his name had begun to spread through the streets of Madrid. Episode 67, Wagner, a newsstand owner, puts the day's newspaper in a prominent position every morning, waiting for customers to come to his door. The Spanish schedule is interesting, as people here usually wake up around 9 o'clock in the morning and even after 10 o'clock in the evening. Therefore, pedestrians usually start to appear on the street after 9 o'clock. And Wagner had to prepare in advance because he had to sell the morning paper, so he would get up earlier than the average person, but he would not open until about 8 o'clock. This is much happier than those who get up every day at 5 or 6 o'clock to do morning business. It was the same today, and at 8 o'clock in the morning, Wagner arrived at the newsstand on time to get some guys in business ready. Soon, the delivery staff of various newspapers delivered the newspapers he needed every day. On his newsstand, sports newspapers, especially football, are the most popular. As a football powerhouse, the Spanish people are very concerned about football news. In particular, the third round of La Liga, which was played yesterday, including the matches of the other major European leagues, also started yesterday. So today, he has a lot more newspapers on his newsstand than usual. Fans who care about football usually pay a few dimes this morning for a newspaper with this information. Of course, in today's rapid development of the internet, these traditional paper newspapers have also been greatly impacted. Wagner also feels that business has become increasingly difficult in recent years. However, for some more traditional old fans, reading the newspaper every day is still their habit of thunder. And Wagner is also relying on these traditional fans to barely support himself. Several of Madrid's best-selling newspapers are placed in the most prominent position. Then he moved out an old rocking chair and a small square table, and made himself a cup of coffee by the way. Placing the coffee on the small square table and pulling out a copy of the Marca newspaper from the pile of newspapers, Wagner sat comfortably in the rocking chair, drinking fragrant coffee while reading the newspaper. Soon, he was attracted to a news item in the newspaper. Atletico Madrid defeated Real Betis 3-2 at home and staged a last-minute showdown. 18-year-old Chinese newcomer performs a magical hat trick. Wagner quickly became attracted to the title. First of all, as an Atletico Madrid fan, he must be very concerned about the results of his home team. It's just that yesterday, because of something at home, he was not able to go to the scene to watch the battle. As can be seen from this title, although Atletico Madrid triumphed, the process was very tortuous, and it was only at the last moment that they killed their opponents. Then, the title also revealed another message, which was that an 18-year-old rookie player from China scored a hat trick. The final score between Atletico Madrid and Real Betis was 3-2, and Atletico Madrid scored a total of 3 goals. In this way, that is to say, the 3 goals scored by Atletico Madrid were all scored by that Chinese newcomer. In other words, it was a rookie from China who saved Atletico Madrid. This cannot but surprise him. So he couldn't wait to look at the following. This report, first of all, introduces the entire competition process. As a Atletico Madrid fan, I know that the end result is Atletico victory. But after seeing that his home team conceded 2 goals in less than 30 minutes into the first half, he still felt a burst of nervousness. It was at this time that Lin Rui was replaced. Behind is Lin Rui's personal performance time. The first touch, the goal. Then scored a groundbreaking long-range shot in the second half. At the last moment, a blast directly broke the hand bone of Real Betis goalkeeper, and, seeing this, Wagner could no longer sit still. He sat up and slapped his thigh hard. Oh my God! Where did this guy come from? Is this true? A series of questions popped up in my mind. However, he also knew that since the news was written in the newspaper, it must be true. It's just that he still can't believe it. How can an 18-year-old rookie be so fierce from the start? This completely subverted the perception of him, an old fan for many years. At this point, the first half of the report is finished with the introduction to the game, and the second half is the interpretation of the game by football commentators. And this is the main reason why print newspapers can still attract some fans. Because every article will have a ball critic's interpretation commentary. Many fans just want to see this content and pay for the newspaper. And the second half of this article is a comment by the famous football commentator Tenacity. I believe everyone who sees the result of this game will be as amazed as I am. Yes, I use the word amazement. Because I think that only this word can express my inner feelings. Imagine a young player who is only 18 years old playing in La Liga for the first time, and is replaced halfway through the game, and he is faced with his team trailing by 2 goals. The team is facing a great test, and his teammates are completely demoralized at this time. How did he do that in this case? His first touch brought one back for the team. It was this goal that stabilized the team's morale, boosted the team's morale, and revived the already deadlocked situation. A rookie player, to have a performance like this, we can already say that he is very good. However, his performance was not finished, and he was able to adjust quickly after being targeted in the second half and then look for the moment to equalize the score again. By this time, his performance was perfect. We couldn't have asked for more. It's just that what none of us expected was that he would have to surprise us more. So there was a scene in the final moments of the game when he scored the decisive goal. By this time, I didn't know how to put into words how I felt at that time. I don't know how to pay my respects except to send my knees. Although the other party is just an 18-year-old young man who has just come of age. Finally, going back to the game itself, Atletico Madrid didn't play well overall, as can be seen when they conceded 2 goals in less than half an hour in the first half. Real Betis, on the other hand, played their own characteristics, and they actually did not perform badly. If it hadn't been for the sudden killing of that young man from China, I think this match would have been Real Betis having the last laugh. But alas, there is a guy in the Atletico Madrid team who has a hanging. Yes, I think he just opened the hanging. With the existence of such a person, Real Betis can only end up hateful. So, we can say that it was this young player from China who defeated the entire Real Betis team alone. Remember the name, Lin Rui. This twisted Chinese name will surely become a luminous name in the future. I am convinced of this. His outstanding performance not only brought joy to the fans, but also made people look forward to his future. We look forward to Lin Rui continuing to show his football talent in the next games and bringing more incredible moments to the football world. In this commentary, the author devoted a lot of space to praising Lin Rui's performance. But Wagner watched with relish. so much so that his coffee was so cold that he didn't even think to take a sip. Only after reading this article did he remember to drink his coffee. But the coffee, which had already cooled out, made him frown. Just as he was about to get up and go make another drink, a voice sounded beside him. "Wagner, what's the interesting news today?" Episode 68. Wagner looked up and saw a middle-aged man in his 40s, with gray hair, standing in front of his newsstand. This man, whom he knew, was also an old patron of his newsstand, and his name was Camilo. Like him, the other party is also an old Atletico Madrid fan. "Good morning, Camilo. You came just in time to take a look at this report, which is guaranteed to surprise you." Wagner handed the newspaper in his hand and pointed to the report he had just read. Camilo took the newspaper and read it with some curiosity. A few minutes later. "Oh my God. Is this true?" Camilo raised his head and asked in disbelief. Wagner shrugged his shoulders and said with some amusement, "This is Marca, Spain's #1 sports newspaper, although they are a little biased towards Real Madrid, but the truth of the news can still be guaranteed. It's unbelievable. An 18-year-old newcomer who scored a hat-trick in the first game, fantasy novels dare not write so. Camaro is still a little hard to accept. I'll look at the other newspapers," Camilo said as he put aside the newspaper in his hand and picked up a copy of the newspaper as from the newsstand. This is also one of the largest newspapers in Spain. Soon, he found a report about Lin Rui. Juagua rookie Jr., a hat-trick at halftime. Helped Atletico Madrid beat Real Betis 3-2 at home. Seeing this headline, Camaro knew that the news about Lin Rui turned out to be true. Looking at the report of the AS newspaper, it is similar to the situation introduced by the Marca. It's just that the final football review is a little different. AS newspaper in the commentary believes that Lin Rui's technical characteristics are somewhat single, only two scoring methods of header and long-range shooting. And the underfoot technology is rougher. Therefore, they think that Lin Rui is just stained with the light that other teams are not familiar with him, and he can score so many goals in this game. After the other teams behind become familiar with his style, it is estimated that Lin Rui will encounter a bottleneck. In addition, in their comments, they did not forget to sarcastically ridicule the overall performance of Atletico Madrid. They believe that Atletico Madrid's performance yesterday was completely disastrous, and Simeone's coaching level was also a mess. Seeing these comments, Camaro's face was a little ugly. "Real Madrid's dogs. Just know to belittle our great Atletico Madrid," Camilo scolded softly. ACE is generally considered to be a media outlet that favors Real Madrid, and they are known as the mouthpiece of Real Madrid. As the mouthpiece of Real Madrid, naturally there will be no good things to say about Atletico Madrid. Relatively speaking, Marca is also slightly biased towards Real Madrid, but it is much more neutral. I flipped through several other famous newspapers, all of which also reported on the match. The content of the reports is much the same. In the end, Camaro was sure that this thing was really true. But it completely turned his perception upside down. "It seems that the next time the team plays, I will go to the scene. I'm really curious now about what that Juagua kid looks like," Camaro muttered. "Well, I should check it out. Let's take a look then. If that kid is really as good as the newspapers say, then we can expect that our team may have a superstar," Wagner said with some excitement. At this time, the time was past 9 o'clock, and the pedestrians on the street began to increase. Wagner's newsstands also began to be filled. Then, a loud exclamation began to sound in front of the newsstand. People have seen reports about Lin Rui. The reaction is also similar to Camilo's. On this day, Wagner's newspaper sold quite quickly. Before 11 o'clock, all the newspapers on his newsstand were sold out. Lin Rui's name, with these reports, began to spread throughout Spain. Li Bing is particularly excited today. By this time, he had collected dozens of newspapers, large and small, on the Madrid market. Looking at the newspaper report about Lin Rui, the emotions in his heart could not be suppressed. This is his compatriot, the first time a Chinese player has received such high praise abroad. He couldn't wait to start putting together these news stories. It wasn't until 3 o'clock in the afternoon that he finished sorting out the report about Lin Rui. Pack the sorted materials and send them back to China by email. And in the country, it was already 10 o'clock in the evening. The building of Sports Weekly is still brightly lit. Editor-in-chief Huang Weiwei couldn't wait to click on the email sent by Li Bing. Then I was attracted by the content inside. He knew Lin Rui's performance yesterday, and he also stayed up late to watch the whole game. However, at this time, seeing the pursuit of Lin Rui, his own Chinese compatriot, in those foreign newspapers, he still couldn't help but rise a mentality of honor. Read these materials in one sitting. He immediately began arranging for the messages to be re-referenced with some of their own processing and illustrations. A touted report on Lin Rui was freshly baked. The next day, Huagua Monday, football fans in Huagua found a surprising thing, that is, the cover of Sports Weekly replaced with a photo of Lin Rui shooting angrily into the goal. Lin Rui on the cover, wearing Atletico number 18 red and white shirt, shot angrily at the ball. This photo selected by Sports Weekly perfectly reflects Lin Rui's heroic posture when he shoots on goal. Coupled with Lin Rui's perfect muscle line, handsome face, and domineering shooting action. This issue of Sports Weekly was very popular with fans as soon as it came out. Especially those female fans, they have paid for the print magazine of this issue of Sports Weekly. For a time, there was a phenomenon that Luoyang paper was expensive. This is a fairly rare phenomenon in the internet age, where print newspapers and periodicals have gradually declined. In addition to paper magazines, the official website of Sports Weekly and WeChat public account have skyrocketed traffic. Fans flocked to these places to browse and comment. And other major domestic sports newspapers and magazines have not been reprinted. There are many fans who have watched Lin Rui's matches, but they are only some die-hard fans. Lin Rui's fame has naturally begun to spread among professional fan groups. But it hasn't reached the audience of pseudo-fans or those who only follow football occasionally. But now the major newspapers and magazines have reported it, plus the sports section of the major portals on the internet, and some social software has spread. Lin Rui's name quickly became known to the public. In other words, Lin Rui is on fire, completely on fire. And it's an overnight success. Episode 69, Lin Rui had eaten in the dining hall and returned to the dormitory, ready to take a break before continuing his morning training. Just then, his cell phone rang. I picked up the phone and looked at it, but it was Mendez. Press the answer button, and Mendez's excited voice rang from the phone. Lin. Did you read this morning's newspaper? You are famous, famous. Haha. I'm so happy. Mendez's voice revealed excitement in his heart. This made Lin Rui also a little inexplicable. Jorge, what happened? Make you so happy? Didn't you read the newspaper? Oh, then I suggest you hurry up and read today's sports newspaper. You look first, I'll call in 10 minutes. Mendez said and hung up directly. Listening to the busy beep sound on the phone, Lin Rui was confused. But since the other party let himself read the newspaper, it must be something about himself in the newspaper. So he left the dormitory and grabbed a copy of Marca on the newsstand in the hall on the first floor. Having lived in Madrid for so long, plus he had studied Spanish before coming to Spain, he had no problem reading Spanish newspapers. When he read the newspaper stories about him, he immediately understood why Mendez was so excited. This newspaper blew him a little evil, and even he couldn't help but blush a little when he read it. But it is this kind of touting that will surely make his name known to the public in a short time. In other words, he only played half of La Liga, and he was immediately on fire. This made Lin Rui not know whether to cry or laugh. At this time, Mendez's phone called again. Lin, have you finished reading the newspaper? How does it feel? I feel that what the newspapers say is exaggerated. I still have a lot to be desired. Yesterday's game to score 3 goals, mainly because the opponent is not familiar with me, plus some luck in it. Now that the newspaper is reporting this, I don't know if it will affect me in the future. Lin Rui was still very calm. Lin, I'm glad you can think so. It shows that you are not carried away by these false names. This is a prerequisite for a player to be successful. But I think this time it was a very good thing for you. If we do it right, your fame will rise quickly, and your worth will rise with it. It was my plan that it would be nice that you could achieve that with a season's performance, but I didn't expect that you might be able to achieve it with just one game. This has to be said to be something worth celebrating. The more Mendez spoke, the more excited he became, as if he had seen a large number of bills rushing towards his arms. When he saw the newspaper about Lin Rui this morning, he was excited, and he had already begun to plan some plans in his mind. He really didn't expect that Lin Rui's performance was countless times better than the best result he expected. He felt like he had really picked up a treasure. Jorge, what are your plans? Lin Rui was very curious. To put it bluntly, it is to package you, make you a pleasing character, and then through the creation of various media, constantly strengthen your persona and win the trust of fans. Eventually make you a symbol in the hearts of a fan. In the future, as long as others mention you, they will be able to remember your characteristics. Lin Rui listened dumbfounded. He was really not good at these business things. Let's take an example. Mendez sensed Lin Rui's confusion and decided to give an example. For example, when you think of Messi, what comes to mind? Is it that he is low-key and restrained, superb in football, and values his family? What about Ronaldo? Is it a flamboyant, diligent and self-disciplined personality? There are other famous stars, such as Ronaldo's alien, Barty's loyalty and iron-blooded, Baggio's elegance, David Beckham's handsomeness and free kicks, Ronaldo's agility, Drogba's 3 bars, forehead. Forget about this, we forget about him. In short, all these stars have their own personalities, and of course their personalities must be based on their characteristics. But would you remember it if it weren't for the media's tireless efforts to reinforce these characteristics in your ears every day? And what I'm going to do for you now is something like this. After listening to Mendes' plan, Lin Rui finally understood what the other party wanted to say. To put it bluntly, it is to package yourself as a player with distinctive characteristics and set yourself up. This may be more conducive to the promotion of players. For this operation, Lin Rui did not care too much. Jorge, I think a professional player should still focus on his performance on the field and speak with strength. As for those off-site means, it's almost enough. After all, there is no strength, everything is for nothing. Hearing Lin Rui's words, Mendes had a different opinion. Lin, I think you have to change this thinking. Of course, I'm not saying that strength is not important. Strength is of course important. This is the basis of everything. However, it is not enough to have strength without good publicity and marketing. For example, in the 2010 Ballon d'Or, why did Sneijder, who won Serie A, Champions League and World Cup runner-up, lose to Messi, who only won La Liga? It's not because Messi's personal influence is greater than Sneijder's. In cases where performance is similar or even worse, the size of personal influence can make up for these gaps. And that's why I'm willing to put in the effort to build a personal influence for you. You can't just train and compete, you also have to think about how to maximize your fame. You have to remember that professional football is a business activity. Of course, players need to have the support of strength, but strength alone is not enough, must be combined with some commercial promotion, personal IP building and other off-field operations. Only then can you become a real top star. Mendes talked eloquently and explained some of his ideas to Lin Rui. This also inspired Lin Rui. He used to feel that in competitive sports, strength is basically everything, and everything else can only play the icing on the cake. Now that Mendes has mentioned such a point, he can easily figure it out. Strength is important, but packaging publicity is not dispensable. Those familiar stars, compared to those ordinary players, their strength may be higher, but they have not opened an absolute gap. When it comes to individual strength, it's really hard for a star to win more than 2 ordinary players in a 1-on-2. But when it comes to personal influence and the most realistic income, the gap between a superstar and an ordinary player is not 1 or 2 times the gap, it is 10 times 100 times the gap. And the reason why there is such an exaggerated gap is actually the influence of off-field factors. Thinking of this, Lin Rui no longer resisted Mendes' promotion plan. Still, he reminded. Okay, I basically agree with your plan, but there is a prerequisite for this, that is, it does not affect it. Episode 70. After the phone call with Mendes, Lin Rui went to the stadium to continue training as planned. Throughout the morning, he had only one training session, and that was to shoot inside. Although the system gave him Robin's inner skill, it only gave him the action points of this skill. If you want to use this skill skillfully, you still have to go through continuous practice. It's just that his practice effect is many times better than others. It is possible that it only takes a few days of practice to withstand the practice of others for several years or even 10 years. To put it bluntly, the actual practice just made him quickly familiar with the movement. We all know that Robin's inner cut is done with his left foot, while Lin Rui is the opposite, he uses his right foot. Of course, the effect is the same, except that in the game, he needs to go to the left side of the box to get the ball and cut inside. After practicing for several hours continuously, Lin Rui's mastery of the internal cutting technique was gradually familiarized. By the time he had a lunch break, he was already proficient in using the in-cut technique. If someone watched his training the whole time at this time, it is estimated that they would be shocked by his progress speed. I went back to the dormitory to wash up and went to the restaurant for lunch. Lin Rui was about to go back to the dormitory to take a break when the phone rang again. Pick it up and see that it is an unfamiliar number. Lin Rui pressed the answer button, and a strange man's voice came from the mobile phone. Lin, hello, I'm Tenans, and it was Mr. Mendes who arranged for me to contact you. He must have introduced me to you, right? Hearing this name, Lin Rui immediately remembered that when Mendes called him in the morning, he said that he would find a reporter to come and give him an exclusive interview, and the name of the reporter he was looking for was Tenans. The journalist is also the head reporter of the famous Marca newspaper. The article touting Lin Rui was written by him. So Lin Rui heard that it was him, and quickly said enthusiastically, Hello, Mr. Tenans, I am very happy to receive your call. Mr. Mendez has already told me about you. That's great, I called you to ask you, when do you have time? I would like to meet you and do an exclusive interview. Then for now, I just have time now, and I have to train in the afternoon. Okay, I'll rush over now, let's meet at Starbucks, next to your training base, in half an hour. The two ended the call, Lin Rui changed his clothes, and went out. Half an hour later, at Starbucks next to the training base, Lin Rui met Tenance. This is a middle-aged man in his 40s, with his back combed and a well-maintained figure. After the two met, after a few simple pleasantries, Tenance went straight to the topic. He took out his voice recorder and notebook and began the interview with Lin Rui. Lin, let's introduce your personal situation and family situation first. I am 18 years old and used to study football at a football school in China. At home, my mother is in foreign trade business, and my father is a teacher. I am the only child in my family. That's basically what it looks like. So you're still a rich second generation, how did you think of playing football? You know, it's hard work. Of course, because I like it, you know, our football level in China is relatively low. I remember it was 2001, in the World Cup qualifiers, when our national team reached the World Cup for the first time, and that's when I liked football. Later, we took advantage of this trend in China to open a lot of football schools, and I learned to play football at that time. Wow. It seems that you are a person who strives for his dreams, so do you have your favorite idol? Yes, actually, I liked Ronaldo very much, that is, de Luo. Even though he scored a goal against our national team, I just like him. Why do you like him? How can I say it, I just think he plays more handsome. Although he doesn't look good, he is indeed the most handsome when he plays football. Haha. Very interesting assessment, so do you think you will become a player like Ronaldo in the future? I don't think I'm the same style of play as he is, I may never be able to match his technique at the feet, but I also have the advantage that my physical condition and strength and heading skills are certainly not matched by him. We are kind of good at each other, and I hope that I can achieve better than him in the future, and I work hard every day for that. Are you very confident? Just now you said that your physical condition and strength, as well as heading kung fu, these are your killer skills now? Let's just say that these abilities are some of my more important scoring methods, but I don't only have these means. As for what the other means are, you will slowly see in the future. Haha. Okay, I'll follow you, so let's talk about how you feel about the team you're on. I think Atletico Madrid is a very combative team, the teammates are very good, they are very motivated, and they are very kind to me. In addition, Simeone, the head coach of the team, is also a very thoughtful manager, and I think our team will achieve good results this season. It seems that you are very satisfied with the current team. Just now you talked about the results. What do you think Atletico Madrid can achieve this season? It seems a bit difficult to say now, but let me say it boldly, this season I think La Liga, Copa del Rey and Europa League titles, at least 2 of these 3 titles. Haha. It seems that you are indeed very bold, and none of these championships seems to be very good to win. Why are you so confident? There's no why, I just feel, yes, it's a feeling. Because I'm on this team, I feel like this team deserves the championship. You can call me arrogant, but I think it's my confidence in myself. If you don't even have this confidence, then you don't have to mess around in this circle. Hearing Lin Rui's sonorous answer, Tenance was really surprised this time. He could feel that when Lin Rui said this, he was from the heart. It's not the kind of amazing rhetoric that just wants to show that you're different. This makes people wonder, why does a small rookie player have such strong confidence? Tenance was puzzled. However, this is a good gimmick. If it is processed well, it can become a label for Lin Rui's personal characteristics. The interview lasted for nearly an hour, and through carefully crafted questions, Tanawas basically got a feel for Lin Rui's situation. At this time, he closed his notebook, stood up and shook hands with Lin Rui to leave. Next, it was time for him to create momentum packaging for Lin Rui. However, before parting, Tenance still admonished, I will do my best to package you to create momentum, but you know, competitive sports ultimately rely on strength to speak. I package you well, if in the end your strength cannot convince the public, then all this will be useless. So in order for me not to do useless work, I hope you can continue to work hard, improve your strength, and achieve better results. For Tanawas's admonition, Lin Rui deeply agreed, nodded, and said, thank you for the reminder, I will work hard. Trust that everything you do is worth it. I firmly believe that.